Welcome to the Liberal Europe podcast. I'm your host, Ricardo Silvestre, and thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And for this conversation, we will continue to focus on important policy papers produced by the European Legal Forum, this time about strengthening justice effectiveness in the EU member states, measuring quality and perception, leading to a better administration. This is a paper co-wrote by Dr. Georgios Archontas. He's a PhD in political philosophy and economic theory, and Konstantinos Saravakos, himself a PhD candidate of International and European Studies at the University of Macedonia. Had a pleasure to have Dr. Archontas for this conversation. We're going to go into the main thesis of the policy paper, but also talk about the magnificent work done by CAFIM, a ELF member organization, both in Europe and the European Union. And after a conversation, please stay to hear a little more about the path that Dr. Archontas took before I got him into the podcast. But now, with no further ado, I bring you Dr. Georgios Archontas. I'm here with Dr. Georgios Archontas. George, thank you so much for coming to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
For our listeners, I'm going to call Georgios George just to make my life easy. Thank you so much for coming. Your policy paper, it's high quality. I had a very good time reading it. Strengthening justice effectiveness in the EU member states, measuring quality and perception, leading to better administration. And this was co-wrote with Konstantinos Saravakos, a PhD candidate at the University of Macedonia. So, Georgios, let's start by getting a baseline on some of the basic shortcomings regarding member state judicial systems. You mentioned them in the policy paper. I'm going to put the link to the document in the show notes, and I really want people to read it. But tell us a little bit then, what was the view that you have regarding this particular aspect, which is the shortcomings of the judicial system?
Well, there are three big themes, actually. Speed, the independence of the justice system, and the stability of laws. And each of these affects how citizens and businesses perceive the rule of law and ultimately whether they trust it or not. First of all, speed. The delays in delivering justice is a major concern. According to the 2024 data, because we already have the most recent, about 25, but I will be referring to the last year's data because the paper also does it. The EU average for resolving a litigious civil or commercial case at first instance is around 282 days. That's not perfect, but it is manageable. In Greece, these figures goes to 746 days. In Cyprus, the average for all case types is more than 760 days, over 2 years. And these kinds of delays can amount to an actual denial of justice in practical terms. If you have to wait for 2 years in order to get a decision, then you cannot really trust the judicial system. And the thing is that it is not about the number of judges or lawyers you have in each country, because Greece actually has more judges per capita than the EU average. It has way more lawyers per capita than most European countries. The real problem is uneven distribution of cases, outdated procedure, sometimes lack of aids of staff that will aid the judges, a lack of digital tools. We can see that Denmark, which is the best example we have, resolves cases in just 17 days. 17 days in Denmark, 760 days in Cyprus. It shows that efficiency is possible within the EU framework. We have to study the best cases as benchmarks and try to evolve systems in countries that are not so efficient. The second thing is independence. The scoreboard reveals persistent suspicions of political and economic interference. And more than half of EU citizens who doubt the independence of the judicial system say that political pressure is the main cause. In Croatia, only 23% of the public sees the judiciary as independent. And even in countries with very high scores, such as Denmark, there are some concerns at a lower level, of course, but we can see that there are some concerns as well, which shows that independence is a subject, is a matter that it is never really solved once and for all, but has to be constantly defended. The third thing is stability and the quality of the laws that are passed. Businesses in several countries, and especially in Greece, identify frequent changes in the law and poor drafting of the law as major deterrents to investment. It is characteristic that on average, a new law in Greece amends 3.5 other laws that have been passed within the previous year. So you can imagine you have no sense of stability. You don't know what the regulatory system will be when you open a business, what you have to abide for. This undermines predictability, as investors cannot plan for the future if the rules keep changing. And finally, there is the problem of the digital divide. Some member states like Estonia, which is a champion in digital transformation, but also Hungary and Poland have highly developed digital systems for proceedings. Others, including Greece, but also Denmark, Italy, Slovenia, even the Netherlands, lag far behind. And it's not just a technical matter, it is a matter of political will, because digital tools can speed up proceedings a lot, can protect victims from re-victimization, and can ensure that defendants get timely and fair hearings. All these shortcomings feed into one another. They frustrate citizens, they weaken the economic potential of a country, because ultimately it is a matter of trust. If you have high trust in the legal system, then domestic and foreign investors will not hesitate to commit resources.
Couple of quick follow-ups then from me. One of them, I would like to reinforce what you just said, which is this last point. And that brings then a space for populists to get votes because they start pointing out the inefficiency of the judicial system. And then they start saying that is corrupt and that they are going to clean it up. And then they're going to, put millions of euros, which they're not going to do. But that shifts the balance of power, unfortunately. Now, regarding independence, Georgios, how much is it real, that perception? So what I mean by that is that perception is highly volatile naturally. So we can have a perception of something doesn't apply. But do you think that there's a big delta between the perception and indeed the independence of the judicial system? Or do you think there's something there?
In countries with general low trust in institutions, people tend to feel less secure about the judicial system as well. I don't think that the perceptions really record what is happening in the judicial system, but in order to resolve the problem, the more general problem of trust, starting from the judicial system is a good point. It's a good starting point. There is a real problem, but populists tend to exaggerate on it. So a reform government in a country with low levels of institutional trust needs to see that starting from the judicial system, safeguarding its procedures, its rules of conduct, the speed of decision-making, will have a real impact on the general score of institutional trust as well.
I'm going to give you one example, and I would like to have you react to that, because in my home country, we have a system which is by random selection of judges for some major corruption cases here that we have. Unfortunately, Portugal, we have a lot of that with our politicians and even with some of our leaders, like our former prime minister. And even that, George, meaning that it is selected in a random fashion, and even that people complain that there's this sense that there's a lack of independence on the system. It's like, it just drives me completely like, what else do you want? You want like a divine force to come and select it? Because otherwise there's going to be always that sense with the populace that there's some kind of corruption going on in the background.
Well, if you don't like a decision, it's very easy to, if there is a wide distrust in your country, it's very easy to say that this decision was a result of influence.
Yeah, some shady system behind that. Well, but we have to have a judicial system. Now, one last follow up on this one, and this is very interesting because actually I was thinking about it. I didn't had it on my outline to talk to you, but you mentioned it, the digital tools. So there's two questions immediately that I'm going to throw it to you. One, it's some kind of inherent bias that digital tools can have in judicial systems. Like, for example, we know that in the Netherlands, this wasn't judicial, was more regarding social security and social benefits. But still, if you start putting AI running, this kind of processes, do we have a problem coming in your horizon? Do you see that becoming a problem in the near future?
Yes, absolutely. AI is in fashion for good reason.
Very much.
It can help us do things quicker, but it can hallucinate. It has biases. It cannot, not yet, but I don't feel that it will eventually be able to replace humans in justice, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
It can be of great help in compiling information. If you have a case that is 1,000 or 10,000 pages long, it can help. But you have to be cautious, not over-relying on it. And that is also the case with the political leaders, because they want to get on the wagon of being trendy and applying AI solutions in everything. We have to be cautious of really seeing where the limits of using AI are.
Totally agree with you. And now actually you were mentioning that one of the problems also is the stability of judicial systems and of laws. And I've been hearing a lot of conversation now that actually in the near future, we're going to put AI just doing law decrees, writing the law decrees. I'm like, what are we talking here? But this is a conversation for another podcast, because I want you to keep going on your policy paper, because one section that I thought it was really interesting, it's about the business sector view, because mostly this is one of the, and you're being an economic expert, this is one of the interests. Of course, we have the general population that wants to apply their grievances to the judicial system and see justice come through. But the other one, it's all the economic sector. And we know this from Adam Smith, the importance of having judicial system regarding economic freedom. So please get into that.
Yeah, it's a crucial part of the operating environment of a business. The judicial system and the rule of law, the stability, the fairness, the speed of resolving a dispute. Companies need to know that if a dispute arises, it will be resolved quickly, fairly, and of course under stable rules, under rules that do not change every 3 months. And when this doesn't happen, the costs are considerably bigger, and this changes the investment decisions. It is in Greece. I am Greek. Even during the crisis, when we had high taxes and all that, the main problem, the main hindrance of getting more foreign investments was the judiciary system, was the delays in decisions, the rules that were not stable. These are structural bottlenecks that are being recognized by the businesses, are key deterrents of both domestic and foreign investment. And the EU Justice Scoreboard shows that there is a great disparity among EU members. 55% of businesses in the EU believe that the judiciary is efficient and independent. This goes over 90% in countries like Luxembourg and Finland. But in Greece, only 28% of businesses believe that the law and the courts effectively protect investments. In Croatia, things are even worse. The number is just 23%. And there is a link between business confidence and the causes of the perceived lack of independence. Most of the respondents say that point to political interference and economic pressure. It's not mainly a problem of guarantees that the judges are efficiently doing their work. It's mainly a perception of political and economic interference. The message, I believe, it's very clear, and this is what we're trying to say in our paper, that without a judiciary that is both independent and efficient, and also perceived as that, the investment climate suffers. It's not only about attracting foreign investors, but also about encouraging domestic businesses to expand, which is a problem in Greece. We have very small businesses that do not have the regulatory environment to expand, to innovate, to take risks. We have to think of judicial reform from a business and economy point of view as a competitive policy, not just an institutional thing.
Quick follow-up again regarding this particular point. One thing that I find very interesting, and this collects also to political philosophy, which is this need to have playing field that is equal to every company and to every business and to every economic system. Because then what happens is that you were mentioning that people have the perception that there's political interference and there's economical interference. What happens is that then companies just hire lobbyists. They subvert the system, because that's actually the only way that they have to reach what is in the final point their interest. So that there is a problem to solve here, which is the lack of that speed, that independence that you just mentioned, then just pollutes the system even more.
Yeah, totally. That's the whole argument for protectionism, to have large businesses that will act as national champions. And it is an argument that is mostly heard in the peripheral, I believe, countries of the EU. And we have to fight against it with arguments, because if you don't have that even level field, then you will only have big companies that will not innovate, that will very soon become obsolete in the international competition. You will not have the dynamism that you need in order to produce growth and prosperity for your citizens.
As we are getting into the end of our time together, you have a set of recommendations. Again, I want our listeners to go and read the policy paper. But tell us a couple of take-home messages.
First of all, I believe the core message of the paper is, again, that we should see the judicial reform as a growth and competitiveness policy. Without a justice system that is fast, independent, and predictable, no set of tax incentives or subsidies can truly attract meaningful, long-term, high-quality investment. You cannot have growth and prosperity without an efficient, working justice system. We propose a set of reforms that can be adapted to different national contexts, but they share the same goals: speed, independence, and stability. Speed, we suggest introducing single-member courts for simpler cases. This allows that less complex matters can be decided more quickly without overburdening multi-judge panels. This will free up resources for more serious and difficult cases. We propose a better workload distribution between courts that also can cut the time that is needed significantly. We propose also strengthening out-of-court settlements, which is a thing that Greece is trying to do with mechanisms like mediation, and ensuring that parties who bring unfounded cases bear the cost of doing so, in order to discourage strategic litigation that clogs the system. As for independence, we propose that the appointments should be managed by independent judicial appointments commissions or through a transparent process with strong safeguards. This will help also the perception of fairness and independence. Another recommendation is that we should couple the promotions with the results that judges bring. How many cases do they resolve? What is the percentage of these cases that are retracted, that are higher level? Third, as for stability, we believe that excessive and poorly drafted legislation is a major problem in countries such as Greece. And it's not really easy to change this culture, but we believe that it should be a priority for political leadership to create a new culture of careful and more consultative lawmaking with impact assessment both prior and after the fact.
People want to know more, so tell us, how can we follow you online and find your work and work of KEFIM?
You can visit the KEFIM's website. You can find the paper both at KEFIM, at the ELF. You will also find there our recent research and commentary. If you are interested in rule of law research, KEFIM has also developed a regulatory quality index, which measures the quality of laws passed in the Greek Parliament, evaluating elements such as clarity, coherence, consultation. It has proven to be a very significant, a powerful tool to stimulate better procedures and inform public debate. We also have submitted to ELF a proposal that is now under review to develop next year a justice system performance index that will feed off the data that we are presenting in this paper and will measure the quality of judicial systems across Europe, tracking efficiency, independence, transparency, so as to provide policymakers, businesses, and citizens with the data they need to make informed assessments. So you can follow our updates from our team via our website, via our social media, and our upcoming online policy observatory, where both of these indexes, once launched, will be hosted and regularly updated.
Very good. I'll do an update when it becomes active, and we'll have you back on the podcast for that. And you have to franchise that really good regulatory index. We need that in multiple countries in Europe. I've been talking with Dr. Georgios Archontas. He is the co-author of Strengthening Justice Effectiveness in the EU Member States, Measuring Quality and Perception Leading to Better Administration. Georgios, this was fascinating and just the beginning of conversation. I will have you back soon, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, George, as we're ending our time together, tell us a little bit about yourself. What was the path that you took to the point that I have you now on the podcast?
Well, I'm an adjunct professor at the European Communications Institute. My economic background is in political philosophy and economic theory, and I have taught subjects such as political institutions, political philosophy, and European institutions at various universities, University of Athens and Peloponnese. Over the past 2 decades, now it's 22 years, I have also been working as a speechwriter and advisor to political leaders, so I can approach these issues that I study with both an analytical lens, an analytical framework, and a practical understanding of how institutions operate in the real world. At Kefin, mainly in collaboration with my fellow researcher, Konstantinos Saravakos, we try and focus at the intersection of policy, governance, and economic freedom. We try to see how strong institutions, and especially the rule of law, can drive prosperity apart of being a safeguard, a pillar of individual liberty and rights.
That is very eclectic. Political philosophy, which is something that I like very much. You're a speechwriter also, which is also something of my interest. And maybe one day I'll have you back for that. But where do those interests come from? So you're a young man. You are interested in politics. This came later because you did that path with economics. Tell us a little bit how that background then materialized.
Well, I was always interested in politics, even as a student, as a high school student. But when I was a student in the university, we tried with a group of people to see what was going wrong, propose solutions. Mm-hmm. And one of my professors, who, this is a funny story, she was teaching us music and culture, so that I was interested in this subject. And she proposed that I could work for the leader of a political party at the press office. At the age of 22, I was already writing speeches. So it was a great experience for me. It was something very exciting, and I got to see how politics really work. And the main takeaway that I got is the limitation of the political procedure. Many times we tend to think that politics can resolve everything at once. This is something that most of the times doesn't work like that. We have to be focused, we have to prioritize our goals, we have to pressure the political system to articulate our demands in a way that the political institutions and the people that work for them, think that it is to their best interest to proceed to the reforms that are necessary.
This is very interesting. Political philosophy, I really enjoy it. And again, I have to ask you to come back so that we can go a little bit into that. So one last follow-up on this. Why not a political career then?
Well, in order to have a political career, especially in Greece, you have to...
I put you on the spot there, George.
No, I'm trying to translate what I think in Greece, in Greek. You have to have a lot of money so as to be independent from any kind of pressure. You have to be well known, and you have to be willing to spend a lot of time doing things that are not particularly pleasurable.
Okay. Working with data.
To marriages, to social events for your voters. I don't think that I would be the right person for that. So I chose to try and influence things in other ways.
It's much more fun to be working with data. I agree with you. This is all for now. I'll be back soon with more podcasts. You can always visit the website liberalforum.eu to know more about the activities of the European Liberal Forum. So until the next episode, let's keep making the world a better place.
You were listening to the Liberal Europe podcast by the European Liberal Forum. This podcast was co-financed by the European Parliament.